Hello and welcome to another edition of Voices of West Windsor. Today we have with us Mr. Verblaauw, who's a music teacher in the West Windsor Plainsboro School District. Hi, Mr. V. How are you today?
Doing great, Mega. How are you?
I'm good. Let's get started. Could you speak a little bit to your experiences as a teacher, marching band instructor, my marching band instructor, band leader, and musician in general?
Sure. So I came from a town in North Jersey called West Milford, which had a very strong music program, which I excelled in. I was, involved in marching band all 4 years, jazz band, indoor percussion for a little bit, private lessons, like anything involved with band, I was there. I really think that my experience in high school got me into teaching through my leadership positions that I had in marching band. I remember one day just on the field teaching some of the younger students, and I was just like, "This is fun. I want to go into this. I want to be a teacher," and that just kind of I found my passion that way. From there, I went into TCNJ, and that kind of made me dive deeper into being a teacher. Through different classes that I had to take, all the different private lessons that I've had. I had an internship for conducting that was a lot of fun, and I got a lot out of. Because growing up, I really wanted to be a veterinarian, and until I had these experiences, like I had no intention on really going into teaching. But once I got to see the reaction of how I taught some certain things, and that I was pretty decent at it, I was like, this is something that I could do, and I enjoy doing it because it gives me a lot of satisfaction and gratitude back. Um, you know, I grew a lot through my lessons with my saxophone professor and my conducting teacher. As I said, they've kind of shaped me into who I am and how I teach, and I'm really grateful for them. I was lucky enough that throughout my all of my interview processes after graduating, I was able to land in WWP. And I first started as a general music teacher at both middle schools, Grover and Community. And eventually, my second year, I moved into the band world due to the growing program, still at both schools. And in my second year, I was able to take over as the marching band director, which I was super excited about because that first year of teaching, I like didn't have marching band. I didn't know what to do with myself, and it was great for my first year to be able to not have that kind of commitment and kind of figure out my bearings around teaching. But that second year, I was so excited, and the band only had 31 members at the time, which was such a challenge for me because I was used to 100 plus people in the band program, and it's just not the same going from 100 to 31 people on the field. But over the last couple of years or so, it's really grown. We're about almost 60 students now, over the last few years that I've been director. And I definitely feel like each year we've grown in different ways, whether it's the participation, the enthusiasm, and the different involvements that we've had through the school and community. It's so great when some upperclassmen join that weren't in years prior, because students that were in the program start talking about it and how great of an experience that they've been having, and it really feels great when it grows that way as well. And currently, outside of school, I do teach private lessons myself. I have a studio of about 9 students. Obviously right now over virtual learning, which is fine. And just finding as many performance opportunities as I can, which are a little small right now because of everything going on, but hopefully those will open up soon.
Yeah, certainly. Like I was part of the music program in school up until this year, and its benefit, like throughout like middle school, it was the only time where you have a break from all of like the academics that you have to do. So the music program is really very important to our school. And thank you for being such a big part of it.
Yeah.
Uh, how has your job changed as a result of the coronavirus? What are the most dramatic impacts of it? What has the district done right? And what can it do better?
Yeah, so last March was obviously very crazy, with everything going on and, just trying to figure it out, basically. I mean, everybody was in the same boat, and, every week we were thinking, are we going back? Are we staying virtual? Is this just like a short thing? Is it a long term? Obviously, it ended up being more long term as we're still kind of doing that. But it has changed a lot. I went from usually my schedule, I'd be like 2 days at GMS, 3 days at CMS. And then this year, I found out about 2 days before school started that I would be fully in person at Grover and virtually at CMS. So that right off the bat was, a big change for me to have to adjust to. Teaching band and lessons online has its struggles, but I'm the kind of person that I try to sit back and think about what we can do in this situation, as opposed to getting sad over the fact that I'm not in the band room, conducting an actual ensemble or something like that. So we've kind of gotten used to the routine of things now that we've been doing it for the last few months, and getting into different routines. Luckily, there's been some new programs that have been out there that we've explored a little bit. A new one that we just did is called Upbeat Music, that allows us to the students record themselves on a video, and it actually does all of the editing and everything for you within minutes. And as long as you line it up correctly, it actually gives you a preview of what your ensemble would sound like. Which has been a pretty good program for what it is. It doesn't replace the actual ensemble, sound and rehearsal and all of that. But I think we've adjusted pretty well, for the most part with things. Most dramatic change for me, I mean, not to go back to marching band, but what really was marching band, because this was the first time in years that I didn't have that, and I was so used to my life revolving around that program and that activity, because there's just so much planning. This time last year we were literally planning the show for the 2020 season, and it's kind of weird not doing that right now. And I just really missed it, especially seeing some of the other districts that were able to kind of figure it out in a way. And a lot of those districts, some of my friends are directors of, and they said it wasn't great, but they still were able to kind of maintain it the best that they could. I think we made the most out of the situation. We had the virtual meetings every couple weeks. We had the band camp virtually with a bunch of different activities and things that we were doing. And we're currently working on the video project, that's going pretty smoothly. But I'm hopeful that the 2021 season can be as normal as possible. Sooner rather than later. I know a lot of the students are really looking forward to it. They already know the show and everything, so it should be a lot of fun if we're able to do it. As far as the district, I think we have had a lot of good plans, and I'm glad that we're slowly making our way back to normalcy in whatever capacity that can be. At least, in my perspective. Currently in the band program, I'm in person at Grover, like I said, and we're playing with bell covers and with masks on right now. It's a smaller because there's less students, for the in person learning, but it's working. We started doing it, maybe the beginning of December, late November. But it's working. It has its difficulties, just like online teaching with band does. But we're able to play and have small ensemble rehearsals, which is working, socially distanced and everything. So I'm thankful that that's working, and that plan has been smooth so far. I do wish that we had a little bit better communication with everything, but I do understand that there was many difficult decisions that had to be made. Whether it was the sports decision, or are we able to play instruments? Are we not able to play instruments inside? It's I kind of saw it coming as like a slow build back to normal, like I said before, and I think that's kind of what's happening, at least from my perspective. And I think everything that the district has done has been with safety in mind. Whether people are happy or sad about certain things. I know there's different controversial things with like sports and after school activities and stuff. But I think overall, looking back on it, I think they've made a lot of good decisions. With everything.
Yeah, they did the best that they could. This was completely unprecedented. Like, there's no way they could have had a plan before.
Yeah.
And with the time that they had, they did the best they could. I do miss marching band. I miss competition season. I miss trying to guess what the show was. I miss all of that. But I mean, I guess it's for the best, and all we can do is hope for next year. So you touched a little bit upon about how this is like a new normal. What changes do you expect to see following, hopefully, the end of the COVID crisis, if it's soon?
Yeah, like I said before, I think it's going to be a slow crawl back to normal or a new normal, as you said. Maybe in phases, we'll do. I have no idea, to be honest with you. But maybe I can see it going in a couple ways, like maybe in small phases, like we have maybe larger groups of students coming back at a time, but we still have the virtual option going on. Hopefully with the vaccine, we can try to figure out what schedule is best for everybody. It's going to be a while until everybody does have the vaccine, with that process and everything going on. But I think the district will, figure out a way to do this little by little in the safe ways, that they have been doing so far. Maybe we'll have smaller class sizes, if possible, where possible. Sometimes it's not as easy to do. Like for our instance, band, is 60 plus kids in a room usually on a normal year. So those kind of things, maybe it's not possible, but I think that everybody, when they put their heads together, we will figure out the best way. And even if we do this model until the end of the year, I wouldn't necessarily be upset by that because I think what's happening now is going fine. And I think until it's really safe to come back, I think this is the way that it can be, and it's working.
If it's working, like, why hurt something if it's working fine for now? Hopefully next year, again, things might be different. We might go in phases, but I personally don't expect it to change by the end of the year, just for everyone's safety.
Mhm.
But again, like you said, it's okay. It's
Yeah,
working
and
okay.
we need to give the time for everybody to get the vaccine that can, and it's going to take a while. Hopefully, like we said, in the summer we can start getting back together with the rehearsals and everything that we've had planned, and hopefully 21 school year starts, as normal as it can.
Yeah, and so going to before COVID, uh, we interviewed a student musician earlier. Uh, Music is different in school. It has different feedback relating than academics or sports or whatever. So specifically for our district and community, how was the support like for music even before COVID? And how is the response for music right now? And how can our community better support school spirit and music and everything in between?
Yeah, I think this district is one of the best ones for music education in New Jersey. I'm lucky enough to be part of it. I really enjoy every day getting to work with all the different teachers in the district that are fantastic, and the students. There's so many out there that look for more opportunities to perform, and whether it's through YOCJ or regions or other organizations that they find, or just taking private lessons. It's incredible how many musicians there are in this district. Band, choir, or orchestra. Where I grew up, we didn't have orchestra, so that's like a whole nother world for me down here. And I'm amazed all the time, even at the young level too. Primarily I'm in the middle schools, and I'm just like blown away with what some of these students can do. I think the district has done a great job supporting it too. There's always opportunities, with the different trips that we've taken, the different world tours that the high school goes on, going to the different festivals, having all of our performances, just being able to visit the other schools for different performances. I know we usually bring the sixth grade to Millstone to perform, and that's always a great time. It's it's one of the things that the music program offers that other programs don't, where we're able to just have so many opportunities throughout the year. It doesn't come easy. It's a lot of hard work. It's dedication to your instrument and time management to be able to practice on top of all of your academics. But I think that mindset and that scheduling makes you a better student just by default almost. I think it's just incredible, this district, the way that music is supported. As far as now with COVID, I think it's still supported. I think we had to take a step back and figure out how to do it. Like I said, we didn't. I mean, I've been in person since the beginning of the year, and we weren't allowed to play instruments right away, so we were doing bucket band, and it was still a good time, and we had the music, we had the resources, we had what we needed. We can't necessarily have concerts right now because of everything going on, but the last couple months we've kind of figured out a way with that, with the different video projects that we've been doing. Sure, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of editing and all of those kind of things, but it's something. And the I've noticed some of the students have been like, "Wait, what do you mean we're not having a concert?" It's like almost part of their lives. That January concert or December concert or in the spring. And I'm glad that the students are still and the district are still as enthusiastic about the program to be able to do it even in these times. I really applaud, especially the middle schoolers at the young age, trying to do recording projects, because how many times outside of your practicing, do you perform alone, at a young age? And really, when we're asking to do these concert recordings, they're performing, and we're expecting them to do it at that performance quality, and they're doing a great job, and it's just amazing to see.
I I don't remember since fifth grade not having that concert in the winter and then having one in the spring and then all the festivals.
Mhm.
It's it was weird for me when I was leaving band, and it's weird now for my friends still in band to be sitting there playing their instruments for recordings and being like, so I'm not gonna get dressed up in my white shirt and the black pants and the dress shoes and go and play on stage for my parents. It's like, what do I do now?
At the
Um,
same time, though, I think a lot of the students, since they're more individually, or since we're relying on their individuality with their instruments now, like you can't hide behind somebody else playing next to you or something. They're also growing as a musician in this way too, because they're playing so much more by themselves, and to be in these videos, you got to be able to do it too. And it's kind of, I'm seeing more, in a way I'm seeing more practice than I have before, which is pretty cool.
I feel like that could be something that's carried on later too, to ensure that people continue practicing their instruments and playing to their fullest capabilities.
Oh yeah.
So another good change because of COVID.
Mhm.
Um, so what do you see as the importance of music in a child's development and into adulthood, and how can they best be inspired to continue learning music?
Yeah, it's incredibly important. There's a reason why it's in most school districts around here, and it's so prevalent in our district, and it's such a big district too. It's in every school. Every teacher is so passionate about it. No matter what ensemble you're in, or even in the general music classes, through elementary and middle school. I know the music technology classes at the high schools are really full and engaging and fun with Dr. Grillo. Speaking from my experiences, and we kind of touched upon this in the last question, but there's just so many opportunities. Whether it's even outside of performing, just being able to experience the world. Like I was able to go to England and Scotland for 10 days because I was in marching band in high school, and being able to say I performed walking down this main street in Shrewsbury, or I performed in this ancient church, or this castle. Like, no, how many people get to say that? It's just amazing, and they do that a lot here too, which is really great. The performing, that ends up giving students that gained confidence, to be able to be on the stage and perform, or sing a solo, or stand up and do a jazz solo, something like that. And also the leadership skills that come with it. I experience it a lot with marching band, with the different leadership positions that we have, but also, just seeing the leaders in the smaller ensembles as well. It kind of just goes with it, and you develop those skills just by being there sometimes. The fine motor skills, the independence that you gain with music programs, and in general, it's just incredibly important for everybody. The time management, I think we were talking before, about junior year in high school. It's a lot, at least for me, a lot of being able to spread out my workload came from band. And I can think in college, sure, I had all of my classes, and then I had to practice. I still had to be good at my instrument at school in order to, keep going and progressing, and being able to figure out what I needed to do with my time. Like, okay, this hour I'm practicing, this hour I'm doing my homework, this hour I'm gonna eat something finally. Whatever it was, all of these skills I've gained from being in music, and it's been so incredible, this journey up until now, my fifth year teaching. As far as inspiring to go further, for me, it was just finding new music and listening to music over and over and over again, different genres. There's so many streaming services out there now with Spotify and all those other ones. I just use Spotify, so I don't even know what else is out there. Pandora, all those other ones. But just finding something new to listen to. I did that all the time, whether it was a different band of the same genres that I liked, or just a new genre, something different, and exploring and seeing, can I play that on my instrument? Or, let me pick up a new instrument and try it out. I have so many instruments just surrounding me right now in my office, because that's just like, it's part of my life and it's what I do. And just, the resources are there to just dive into it and think of something new. I can think of just an example. Last year we tried that brass band thing. That was something totally different. With so many different instruments and personalities, and every week we had a different ensemble in a way, which was really really cool, because you had to kind of figure out, okay, well, we have this kind of voice, we have that voice, okay, you're playing this part, you're playing this part, and then next week it's going to be different because we're going to have different people. And that was kind of fun, because in a way we were kind of making our own genre. And this, with all the programs out there with virtual learning now, with being able to compose, it's insane in a good way. It's great.
Planning that brass band was difficult, but also rewarding. We went in, I remember going in every week, okay, we're going to play this. And then we ended up never even touching it because we just didn't have the people for it. And then the next week, we wouldn't have people for the other thing. So it was cool. And I highly recommend anyone. And would you say there's ever, you're ever too old to pick up an instrument, or ever too, I mean, you could be too young, but ever too old to pick up an instrument?
No, never, 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 never. It's so funny too, because my fiance's grandmother always talks about how much she wants to learn the drum set, and I'm like, okay, let's do it. I'm ready to teach you. Let's do it. I want to. So like we'll give her like little, little percussion things, but it's never too late. It really is not. I'll find a new instrument, every once in a while, and just try to learn it too myself. Because that's another way you just grow automatically, by having a new instrument in your hands. Whether you can make a good sound or not, eventually you will. You know.
I can say that with certainty that I can play the baritone very well. I can play hot cross buns.
Got to
So
start somewhere, right?
gotta start somewhere. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Mr. V, for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
I really enjoyed this. And for anyone listening, pick up an instrument and start playing. So we will see you guys next week.